Wait, what? You could lose $19,000 in net worth over the course of a repayment term by deciding to invest your extra monthly income instead of using it to pay down your student loans? Let's take a closer look at that. Today's video is all about the results of an objective calculation that you can use to decide if it's financially smarter for you to invest your extra monthly income or to use it to pay down your debt more quickly. Stay tuned. Common investing wisdom goes like this. If your student loan debt interest rate is lower than that of the rate of return you expect to get from the market, you should invest your extra money instead of using it to pay down your debt more quickly. But does that always hold true? The fact is, sometimes the math just doesn't add up. Let's go through a scenario where it actually costs you more if you invest your extra money instead of using your extra income to pay down your debt more quickly and then invest more aggressively later on. In today's scenario, we have Sally Jones. Sally has these nice round numbers. She makes $100,000 a year and has $100,000 in student loan debt. Her current student loans have an average interest rate of 6.2%. Even under the most aggressive repayment strategy, she can afford to contribute 5% of her income, or $5,000, to her employer-sponsored 401k every year. Because she can do that, she gets her employer match of $4,000 or 4% no matter what. The baseline assumption here is that she's already contributing enough to get her max employer match, even with the most aggressive repayment strategy. The question we're asking is, does it make more sense for her to invest additionally on top of her current contributions, or should she use that extra income to pay down her debt more quickly, and then once her debt is paid off, more aggressively invest? We're also going to assume that the market rate of interest is 7%. According to common wisdom, the market rate of return is higher than her student loan interest rate, which means she should contribute to investments rather than paying down her debt. Let's see how that doesn't add up. To make the comparison, we'll look at the total amount of time it would take her to repay her student loans under the least aggressive strategy. We assume that if she chooses a more aggressive strategy, she will contribute the money she was paying towards student loan debt to investing for the remainder of time that it would take for her to repay her debt under the least aggressive repayment plan. Here's what that looks like. So her least aggressive option is an income-based repayment plan. It'll take her about 11.4 years to repay her loans under that strategy. When we look at the most aggressive 5-year repayment plan strategy, she'll have 5 years of repaying her debt and 6.4 years where she aggressively invests all that money she had been paying on student loan debt. By making this comparison, we see which strategy gets her ahead financially. So let's look at the 5-year strategy. Her increase in net worth after the 11.4 years is up is $327,000. Let's look at a term in the middle. Let's look at a standard 10-year repayment plan. Her increase in net worth after 11.4 years is $312,000. And now let's look at the income-based repayment strategy, so the slowest repayment term, but the most aggressive investments initially. After the same point in time, her increase in net worth is $308,000. Her investments made her more money during that time, so why is her net worth less? The reason her net worth is less is because the interest on her student loans compounds as well. And the longer she takes to repay those loans, the more interest she accrues. Essentially, what this model demonstrates is that the market rate of return did not actually keep up with the cost of her interest rate when it's assumed that she aggressively invests after she repays her debt. In this example, despite the fact that her student loan interest rate was less than that of the market rate of return, the borrower who invested the money created by a less stringent repayment plan had a net worth of $19,000 than had she more aggressively repaid her debt and used that money to aggressively invest after the fact. This example made some assumptions that it's important for you to know about, so you can apply them to your own scenario. The first assumption is that the market has a consistent rate of return of about 7%. You and I both know the market rate of return fluctuates. However, this is a long-term average, so while some years may be down and some years may be up, this takes a conservative approach to that estimate. The second assumption is that the borrower is able to get the full employer match in their employer-sponsored retirement plan, regardless of which payment plan they choose. If a borrower wasn't able to do this in the most aggressive repayment plan, the scenario would change significantly. And the final assumption made is that once you pay off all your student loan debt, you use all of the money you were paying toward debt to invest. If that money is used for something else other than investing, you won't have the same outcome. The key takeaways from this example are that there's no one-size-fits-all strategy for undebting or investing. You need to customize your repayment and investment strategy to your specific goals and your specific financial situation. The second key point is that choosing to follow common wisdom instead of exploring your options with your specific financial information can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It's worth your time to look into your options. And the last takeaway is that this formula doesn't take into account your attitude toward debt and investing. If you're someone who really just hates the idea of having debt, even if this formula suggests that you can make more money based on market rate of return, perhaps the right decision for you is to still tackle your debt aggressively. And that's just based on your interests. The main reason I highlight this is so that you can have the best information available to you to make a decision that's right for you. If you want to know if your net worth will grow more if you invest your extra income or use it to pay down your student loan debt more quickly, you can check out a workbook I created. It will help you apply this exact strategy to your specific financial information. It's available for download. All it requires is an email address. I'll link it up in the description below. Don't be overwhelmed. It's a lot of plug and play where you use your actual financial information, but the calculations are generally done by online calculators. So you're not going to be doing a whole lot of number crunching. What do you think? Were you guys surprised that investing can actually cost you money? I was pretty sure that investing would be the clear winner because that's what common advice says, but common wisdom isn't always right. I really hope you guys enjoyed this week's video, and if you do this calculation for yourself, I would really love to know how it turns out for you. So leave me a comment below and let me know what you find. See you next week.